So welcome to the other side, everybody. For those of you watching this video right now, I want to say thank you for joining me, and I really look forward to hearing about how you grow and expand and take your place from this awesome information that I have for you. So before we can begin to shift our minds, our mindsets from scarcity into abundance, we first need to know what we've been doing, right? Like, what have our habits been? We need to get consciously hip on what's been going on in our environments and within our own personal ecology. I'd like you to look at your family history, because one of the first places in our lives that actually continues to have so much significance and so much influence on the way we behave today is where we came from. There's so many different backgrounds to people's personal history with money, but I want you to look at yours. And if there is something negative about it, if there's a bad taste in your mouth, once you think about it, once you feel it in the cells of your body, in your memory, in your ancestry, there's a bad taste there. I'd like to ask you to clean that slate, okay? We're going to, from now on, not blame our scarcity on money as if it's money's fault, and take responsibility and create a new relationship with it. Become friends with the concept of, I can make money and I deserve money and I know how to utilize money in a way where it does not own me. This is one of the ways that we exchange energy in this world, is through money. So if your basic needs were met because of money, let's develop a new loving relationship with it, because it's time for you to start making some, right? So the next thing I want you to look at is, are you a person who sets yourself up for failure even before you even tried? What do I mean by that? For example, sometimes I'll talk to people about, artists about, hey, learn about business. Whew, sometimes it's like the plague. Business? I don't know anything about business. I can't do that. I don't know how. That's not for me. Someone else should do it. Before they've even tried, they've already cut off their ability to be creative in manifesting what they really mean, like knowing how to bring their gifts and talents out into the world. Does this sound familiar? So if you notice yourself saying, I can't do something because I don't know how, or I'm not that, I'd ask you to check yourself for a moment. And if that really is what you mean to do, if you're running around here talking about how amazing you feel you are and why are you struggling and you're ready to be out there because you deserve it and you've got so much gift and talent, first notice if you get in your own way and stop your creativity from manifesting because you believe you can't and you won't and you don't because you're not. Check that. And then don't do that. It really works. So it's funny how when we start to notice where we actually get in our own way when we allow ourselves to have that conversation, right? It's kind of revealing when you realize that, oh, it's actually me getting in my own way that's preventing me from really creating what I mean to create. So that's a really good one. Notice if you are setting yourself up for failure before you've even started or tried. Another really valuable piece of advice that I want to give to all of you, and I've felt it myself, is when you're a person who has so much to give, particularly when you're extremely creative and you want love for people, it's easy to get overwhelmed. I mean, life can be stressful when you're figuring out how to make money, maybe you want a relationship or the one that you're in is going a little bit cray-cray, or whatever your story is when you're not feeling your best. It's easy to get overwhelmed. My personal history has been where I've taken on way too many projects, all at the same time, thinking that I was superwoman enough to do them all. And what ended up happening as being a result of a jack of all trades, one, I burnt out, and two, none of them really reached their full potential that they could have if I would have shaved some things down and discerned a lot quicker. So overwhelm. How many of you get overwhelmed? There's too much to do, I gotta do this that hasn't got done, oh my God, I better hurry up and make it, I'm talented, what's going on with me? Notice how when you're overwhelmed, your thoughts and feelings become like the end-all be-all of who you are. And here's some really great tips to help you along when you get overwhelmed. 1, I literally make a list for myself for the day of what is urgent and what is important versus what is just important. So I tackle the urgent, important things first instead of the things that are just important. Now, what do I mean by that, T-Bird? That sounds a little weird. So have you noticed yourself trying to get a project done or fulfill a deadline, and you get distracted by an email that might seem like an important one, a new gig, but it wasn't as urgent. Or maybe, something came up that was fun and it could be important for your career, but it's not as urgent. It's not that next step. I'd like for you to get into a habit of being able to discern that for yourselves. And what helps is literally just writing a list. What is urgent and important versus what's important? Another thing that I like to do that has allowed me to feel like, as a person who is involved in so many projects, I really need to feel like I have space. So in the morning, I create a 2-minute to-do list, right? And so my 2-minute to-do list is a bunch of little things, little tasks that I can do in 2 minutes or less. So I make that list, and then I set aside 15 minutes to a half an hour to complete them, first thing in the morning. So that might be like me sending a few quick emails or putting the laundry in the dryer or mailing something, whatever it is that I can do in 2 minutes or less. I tackle that at the beginning of my day. And seriously, once I do that, I feel like I have a whole day ahead of me. Like I feel so much lighter because those little 2-minute to-do things aren't rummaging around in my brain, making me feel guilty or overwhelmed about them because they weren't completed. A third thing that's going to really help you along if you feel like the overwhelm monster is beginning to take over is I want you to look at things that aren't completed, particularly around having challenging conversations with people. So this one's a little tricky because it's really uncomfortable at times. But if you notice yourself not tying up loose ends or not following through with the commitments that you make with people in your life, just tell people where you're at. I wasn't able to finish this by this date, I need some more time, or I need some help in doing this. So it's really important that you stay in communication, and this will help eliminate a lot of overwhelm. Another really important piece to moving out of scarcity into abundance, from moving out of separation and isolation into connectivity and community, is really looking around your environment, really looking around at who your community is. And if you're surrounded by people who really support and believe in you, and who don't complain and who take initiative in manifesting the life that they want, then you're on the right track. But if you're hanging around a lot of people who stay in that victim mentality, who wish things were different but don't do anything about it, who stay in that struggle mentality and complain, these tend to be red flags. You know that saying, the company you keep really makes all the difference? It's so true. If you were surrounded by people that you admired and who were your role models, or if you were engaged in a relationship with a mentor, or maybe you created that buddy system with someone you know and can count on to be there by your side and who's got your back to push you forward, those are the kind of relationships you want to keep and cultivate. This one may be overlooked a lot of times in how we create the mindset of scarcity around us. And this may sound a little funny, but if you were to take a look around your workspace right now, would it be completely chaotic? What would it look like? If your environment is a mess, you gotta clean it up. When you can start from a place of neutrality and of cleanliness and of organization and freshness, you are more available to start from that place of creativity, because when your life is a mess around you, it's harder to start that process of building abundance because you're cluttered in here and out there. So we've talked about shifting our mindset from scarcity into becoming purposeful leaders of action through our artistry. Because when we get conscious of who we have been being and what we are choosing, we are then able to manifest what we really mean, because we can make healthy choices. When we realize that we are the ones who get in our own way if we set ourselves up for failure, we have a chance to change that. Take the time to notice when your I can'ts and I won't and I don'ts get in the way of you exploring possibility. Really start to notice. In order to move from scarcity, it's important that you begin to minimize your overwhelm. If you get burnt out, it's harder to take action. If you feel unmotivated, how are you possibly ever going to share your light with the rest of the world? Make sure your space is clean. Make sure you do the simple things first. 2 minutes in the beginning of the day. Create that extra free time so that stuff doesn't linger around in your head. Tie up your loose ends. Even if it's uncomfortable, just speak what you need. Just share what you need. Tell them where you're at. Don't let things fester. Don't feel guilty. That's going to beat down your shame even more. Also remember that it's so important to surround yourself with the people who love you, and with people who support you, and with people who move forward in their lives. So remember, the company you keep makes all the difference. Really keep great company. If you need a mentor, find one that inspires you. Reach out to them. If you need to drop some people, I know that sounds harsh, but maybe it's time to have that courageous conversation to really express your boundaries, because it's time for you to move away from scarcity into manifesting on purpose, abundance, personally and also out in the world. And one last thing before I go, it's really important to know that this is a process. This is your journey. Overnight things can happen, but 9 times out of 10, it's a lot more rewarding when you allow it to grow and build. So take your time and know that just from watching this video with the new things that you've planted into your consciousness, you have the tools now to move forward. And I can't wait to hear about how you apply them to your life. I can't wait to hear about how you have taken the next steps and started to create abundance for yourself. I cannot wait to see the results of how you being in the world more inspires me and the rest of our community. So keep me informed, stay connected, continuously connect with me, because I've got some more great information for you that is going to help you get to that place of resource so that you can shine your radiatory light and really make a difference in your life. Peace out. Goodbye, scarcity.